Speaking moistly, keep 2 meters apart. Keep speaking moistly.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our usual Tuesday edition of Speaking Moistly. With me, as always, Greg. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I'm drinking fake coffee.
Nice.
We got
Also known as tea.
roasted figs.
Oh, it's
It's
roasted
good.
figs. It's not tea. I thought it
Uh-huh.
was tea. Every time after Speaking Moistly, I get ads for replacement coffee. So
Oh,
my
mud
phone
water.
is
Yeah.
listening.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all
I
good.
get that.
Um,
Those ads.
Last week, I was wrong. John Charest is not the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada. I got it
Wrong.
way wrong.
Wrong, man. You
Wrong.
were wrong. It's okay.
So
You
where
win
does
some,
that
you
leave
lose some.
us? Where does that leave us? We've got Pierre Poilievre in command of the Conservative Party of Canada. His message, despite the media, is one of hope, optimism, opportunity. That's what he's saying. He wants people to have the same opportunity he had when he was growing up. He wants people to have hope. Blah blah blah. That's what he said to the caucus. I reported on that this morning. Um, but it's still the Conservative Party, which you and I have both expressed concern about in the past and in the very recent past. So where do you think this leaves us? What do you think? Pierre Poilievre won. Everything's changed. What do you think?
I mean, I don't think anything's changed. I
Okay.
think it was the same thing was it before. It's like, okay, this guy running his campaign has a connection to the WEF. We know this.
Baird.
Um,
Yep.
I mean, who are we kidding, Mark? We joined the PPC for a reason,
You and I did,
you
yes.
know?
Well, right. But
And
talking to kind of the general people, like lots of other people other than just PPC people watch the show, I'm sure. And like, it's the Conservative Party under a different leader might be different. No, what's your argument? What's your argument against that? I know my argument, and Pierre Poilievre has explicitly said the WEF is people are not allowed to go to any WEF events in his cabinet. I don't know what he said about caucus, but cabinet he said definitely not. So he's addressed the WEF despite Baird being in his cabinet, which I agree is an issue. But what do you is denouncing the WEF during the campaign enough?
no, it's not. It's good, but unfortunately, I think it is when you any anti-globalist rhetoric that comes from Pierre is essentially doing the bare minimum to pander to freedom fighters. And I encourage people to not, receive these breadcrumbs that he throws in your direction and don't let them to like sedate you and say, wow, like he's our guy. If you truly care about this country, it's our job to hold his feet to the fire very aggressively because we can ask him questions. We can challenge him on the important issues like the transgenderism cult, like obviously digital ID and World Economic Forum agenda items.
I'm
Like
certainly
what I found very kind of frustrating is during his acceptance speech, did he mention oil and gas? Yeah. He also mentioned like we're going to mine cobalt for electric cars.
Oh, you do it, Polyev. You totally nailed that one. That was good. Yeah, he did. He talked about batteries for electric cars. That concerned me. He talked about fighting climate change with technology and not taxes. That's concerning.
Mm-hmm.
I said before, there's concerns with the Conservative Party, and I think that we're going to always going to have these issues. Yeah, I think that
Mm-hmm.
like it's going to always be them, cycling in or fixating in on a certain topic and ignoring all of these other very
Mm-hmm.
important topics. And
Sure.
I agree. There's massive concerns.
And like I said last week, like accepting Pierre and having hope in Pierre, it's very much a cope. Like we are desperate right now for a savior. Like conservatives or freedom fighter people, like we are
People
desperate for
want
a
hope.
savior.
People want
Pardon?
hope. People want hope.
Yeah,
They want
yeah, of
hope.
course.
But
And it makes
can I
sense for
I want to go back. I want to go back. I'm not meaning to interrupt you, but
just walk all over me, Mark. Just walk all over me. Do your thing.
I get to forget.
Okay, go. I'm
I
kidding.
always
I'm
forget.
kidding.
Um, but going back to asking him questions, that would be a huge departure from our current government. We can't. And even like if you ask the leader of the CPC, Aaron O'Toole or Andrew Scheer to a degree, although I thought Scheer was better than O'Toole for answering questions. But if you tried to ask questions of the CPC, you would end up lost in bureaucracy. So even if we could ask questions that matter to Mr. Poilievre, like that matter to the constituency, that matter to the voters, to Mr. Poilievre, that would be an improvement. I'm not saying it's perfect, but I'm saying at least there's that. And
Hmm.
then we can maybe make a more informed decision. But I'm
Just, I
not.
mean, guys, just listen to your intuition, because this is what it comes down to for me. It's like, what is more likely? What's more likely that Pierre Poilievre is going to go on and hey, I'm secretly super Christian nationalist. I'm going to oppose the transgender cult now, and I'm seriously going to oppose the World Economic Forum now.
in his
Like what?
in
No, let
his
me
caucus
finish.
speech.
Well, let me
Sorry,
finish.
go
What is
ahead.
more likely, him to come out and say, "Hey guys, I'm really going to fight the establishment," or is it more likely that it's like, oh crap, he's screwing us over, and he's just, oh damn. Like for me, the
Well,
latter is, I can picture that happening.
oh, he's screwing us over. Well, yeah, but
Yeah, him
he's
screwing
already
us
kind of
over,
talked about
saying, "Oh wow, he said all of the things he was supposed to say to pander to conservatives and freedom fighters. He wins, he gets power. One broken promise here, second broken promise there. Oh wow, now we hate him like 3 years down the road
right, and
because."
that's exactly what happened with Trudeau. Yeah, you're not wrong. That's how Canadian
Correct.
politics kind of goes. Stephen Harper tried to ride the rail between conservatives and that center line,
Mhm.
and then the
Sure.
liberals changed it on him.
And just to like add to my whole intuition point, intuitively, I know he's not a real conservative leader, because I would feel it. I would feel it in my bones
You
if
feel
he
it in
was a real leader. Yeah.
there's a disturbance in the conservative force.
No, but I would be excited because like he would represent my values. He would be talking about them. But now he's just kind of doing this bare minimum thing where he's barely saying the stuff. And it's like I would be much more excited if it was our guy, you know? And of course, like, hey, we have to get Trudeau out, and then he's our best chance to do that. And like, I don't even disagree with that. And he's probably going to be our next prime minister. I'm not even like, denouncing or, saying, oh, that's not going to happen. It's just unfortunate because instead of like, Trudeau is screwing us over so hard right now and just like pushing us towards like, the great reset so aggressively. And does Pierre stop that? He maybe sort of slightly slows it down, but we're still going right there. We're still going right there towards the great reset. And what I fear is that every moral argument that Trudeau makes for the great reset, once Pierre is in, it's like, oh, now it's just an economic argument for the exact same thing.
Yes.
Oh
Yeah, yeah.
well,
No, I think you're
jabs are
exactly right.
good for the
Yeah.
economy. A digital ID is good for the economy. Yeah, I could
Yeah.
picture myself hating this guy, down the
Right.
road.
But okay. So, I mean, yeah, people want to have hope. And we've seen that pattern with conservative governments in the past where they take over and then they make an argument, as you said, that articulates basically the same point as the liberals from a different perspective. So an economic one rather than the racist one that the liberals are taking on this in this example. But it's man, I hope not. I hope you're wrong. I don't even have a like, oh, maybe that he's indicated this way or that way, because yeah, no, there are a bunch of things that I have issues with. But again, people want to have hope. And he's articulating the things that give people hope. And the you telling them or me telling them or Mark Friesen telling them, Mark Friesen being more direct about it than you or me, I don't think is going to change the people and how they've viewed Mr. Poilievre. And I think you're right. I think he'll probably be the next prime minister. And I was reading, no, on my show today, Rainier Fulmark he did a little clip where he's talking about where we are in the WEF plan and where we're going. And where we are is destruction, bankruptcies, people losing jobs, that kind of stuff. And then the next phase is reconstruction or rebuilding. And they'll come in with, we know what the problem is. We need to have a digital currency and it'll be magic and everything will be great. And that's maybe the change of guard. You know what I mean? And maybe we see that with a new leadership, a new economic focus. And with the economic focus comes the digital ID and, bingo, bango, bongo. Everybody's
Yeah.
super on board with it, right?
The liberal pigs have been at the trough for some
Yeah.
time now,
Four legs
Mark.
good, two legs
And
better.
now we just have a bunch of pigs in blue ties who are lining up for the trough, salivating. Just this is our time, guys, to eat at the trough.
Mhm.
I don't know, man. Like, call me cynical, but I just feel
It's
like
hard.
this is what I'm seeing happening. All the conservative blue tide pigs are getting ready for their team turn to eat at the trough. Um,
Maybe,
yeah,
maybe.
and I gotta add too.
Mhm.
If people like me don't exist saying this type of stuff, then we're not pushing the Overton window. And I think that's what's most important,
Well,
because
I
what
think
was
that
so important about Trump, what's so important about right wing figures like Andrew Tate, for example. I don't know. Do you know who Andrew Tate is?
no.
Andrew Tate is somebody who recently got banned off of social media. And he's like a manosphere red pill guy who's like, you need a woman who is like submissive to you. And, she needs to be a woman who's like at home in the kitchen and blah, blah, blah. And, this offends a lot of people, of course. But I think people like this are really important because we need the counterpoint. We need the right wing sort of like caricature and exaggeration to exist in the conversation, because that actually pushes things in that direction. What does not push things in that direction is a speech like Pierre Poilievre, where he's like, well, we still got to do stuff about climate change, and we're still going to do the, electric cars and oil and gas, by the way. Like, if anything, he's just like the conservatives always have,
Slowing it
just
down.
backsliding, compromising. We love transgenderism at the conservative party. Like, that's not moving the Overton window in the right direction. And I think you can agree that it would be nice to get the pendulum actually swinging the other way, actually moving in the right direction. Because, like, right now, being a centrist is only believing in like 25 genders as opposed to 80. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of where we're at in Canada right now, how far the
Mhm.
Overton window has shifted. And we need to put,
Well,
push it
further
as hard as we
further than
can.
further than that, you can't have a conversation, a rational conversation with anybody about transgenderism or gender ideology, radical gender ideology, critical race theory, anything like that. You can't really
Unless
engage with
you're a
somebody.
teacher of a grade 4 class, in which
And
case
then
you can talk about it
captive
all you
audience.
want
Yeah,
and
right,
say
exactly.
whatever the heck you want.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
very interesting how that's going on. And the argument that it should continue and that it's good for kids and that like that kind of exposure is good for kids. But I mean, we're getting into uh, a different area. But I'll to bring us back to the pendulum and the Overton window, there's always necessity for a counterpoint, even a counterpoint and a counterbalance, even if you don't find it tasteful. I'm sure the person on providing that perspective doesn't find the far left wing ideology particularly tasteful, right? It's probably equal. But the right to live the way you want when you're an adult is, I think, something that's important in Canada. And so long as you're not hurting other people, so long as you're not saying, I'm going to take you and make you do these things because I want you to, because I have control over the way you live. Like that's not okay. Or taking a young impressionable mind and teaching them things that aren't true, and so selling them on this idea that it'll solve their problem or something like that. Like there's a lot of issues with this whole ideology. But having people who are adults wanting to live the way they want is not the core of the issue with this. You should be able to live the way you want as an adult, but you should not be able to uh, propagandize to children these things that are being taught. It's wild. It's absolutely crazy.
mhm.
So and like I agree that nothing's ever perfect, is it? It's all messed up.
No, it's not. And I think that, because people can be so, and I don't want to be like contributing to the despair that people might be feeling. And I think that in order to make the best of our efforts, you know, criticizing and pushing the conservative party should be the main thing. Like I think of so many conservatives and freedom fighters like to rag on Trudeau all the time, and even I do that. It's very easy to do that, and that's certainly a necessary thing to do. However, what does not happen almost at all, or not nearly enough, is conservatives and freedom fighters and Christians and nationalists like harshly criticizing the conservative party, because what they do in some sense is even worse and more nefarious than what Trudeau does. Because Trudeau says to my face, hey, I don't like you. I don't want you to go on a plane or a train. I think you're deplorable. Like, he says that openly. What Pierre Poilievre and what the Conservative Party does is like, hey, we're we're going to fight for you and we're going to fight for your rights. And it's like, well, no, you're not. Like,
But it's
the conservatives in Ontario, for example, are like, yeah, we're going to push digital ID on you guys.
well, the conservative.
So
Okay, hold on. The conservatives in Ontario are different than the federal conservatives, and there has to be because they're run by different organizations. But I agree with you. I don't trust.
isn't it naive though to like assume that there isn't the same problem affecting the federal conservatives as the provincial conservatives?
Yeah, but I think it's siloed. Did you ever watch Deep Space Nine? During the Cardassian War, they were all siloed. So if you were working towards a goal, you couldn't compromise another cell's work, right? So I think it's siloed.
I still think you're being naive, Mark. Oh,
No, no,
the next
no,
thing
no.
Mark's going to tell me is
The
that
point I want to
John
make.
Tory is a true hardline conservative.
The owner of Rogers-
technically he's a conservative.
He's a
Technically, John Tory is a conservative.
He's
Yeah,
a
okay,
capitalist
buddy.
through and through. He's just got enough money that he's gonna escape all the problems. No, I want I said the other day that if the conservatives do well and they're good for Canada, then that's good. I want to be able to hold them accountable. I want to be able to ask them questions. I want to be able to push them. I want to have. I'd love to have a parliament that is maybe the composition of a PPC party or the PPC party in government or opposition, with the CPC as the counterbalance to have conversations. Because the Liberals, the Greens, the NDP, I don't think those parties represent Canada. The Conservative Party right now, questions abound. I don't know what Poilievre's going to do with it, but the leader deserves a chance. The new leader of the party deserves a chance to prove himself. And when and if those promises get broken, then I'll be the first to say, you were right, man. I'll be the first, because I've been wrong before. It's cool.
Yeah, but what sucks about that is then it'll be too late.
It's already too late. We can't, there's nothing that I could say or you could say that's going to change the course of the direction of Canada's politics.
For all of our listeners, Mark does not know what he's talking about. Speaking moistly is going to change the course
Massively.
of human history.
Have you seen this show?
So I don't know what the hell you're talking about, Mark. You
Right.
were so off the mark there.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I should recheck
La revolution is going to happen right now on Speaking
They're going to
Moistly.
show up and they're going to say, these are the masterminds behind Diagolon. Rah, I gotta, holy cow, I'm getting spotted.
That's right, Cesis. You thought it was just a goat figurine? No.
The goat figurine refers to Greg.
Don't tell them too much, man.
Oh my goodness, no. Oh, Jeepers Creepers. Okay. That'll be the end of the show. I wanted to talk about the WEF King Charles, but we didn't get there. It's all right. Next time. So the jury's out. Greg's position is the CPC is beyond redemption, and my position is I guess we'll see, because there's nothing we can do but watch, wait, and see. So neither one of us are wrong.
When it comes to campaigning for what we want, obviously, like, the PPC is in a much better position to represent something that is not establishment politics. Unfortunately, Max has a lot to do with has a lot of room for improvement when it comes to making better propaganda and really focusing on socially conservative issues. I think he should become more of a Christian nationalist to be congruent with everything that Trump is going to do over the next couple of years leading up to that election, but I don't know if he has the balls to do that.
I don't know if aligning with Trump is a winning formula for a Canadian election, but we'll see. I mean, you might be right. I know that you often think that we need
no
to
offense,
really
no
get in
offense,
there,
Mark, but that is totally the CPC loser mentality, in my opinion. That is the Conservative Party of Canada.
We need to swing for the fences, is what you're saying.
We can't associate with Trump. We need to mine more cobalt for electric cars. Yeah, okay. Okay, Mark. Yeah, let me guess. You're not going to say anything about the transgenderism cult either, because you're too afraid of the people, the women, or the women with Adam's apples and dresses.
No, man, I had Billboard Chris on. I talk about this, the radical gender ideology.
No, I know you do, but I'm just saying that mentality of we can't associate with
that
Trump.
kind of stuff. We have to talk. We have to talk about. I'm just saying the general public won't go along with it because they've been conditioned, right? Like it's Pavlov's dogs. When you ring that bell, those dogs are going to have their saliva go. When you say orange man, they say bad, right? Orange man.
See, I think there's just like a pushing point that the conservative public needs to get past. You know, like, I think, yeah, if somebody controversial like Maxime Bernier started to say not all the controversial, but a Canadian version of the Trump controversial things, I think for 2 to 3 months, people would be like, he's the worst. I can't believe he's doing this. This is the worst. And then after the 3 months, and once it became a normal part of the news cycle, they'd be like, you know what? I actually think I like this guy because he's sticking to his guns and he's, I think that's what would happen. I think it would take maybe a month or two or whatever, but like, then it would kind of click and be like, as offensive as this guy apparently is, I actually like him more than all this fake nonsense that I've been being spoon fed for the past 6 years. This guy's actually more real.
If he starts to gain traction, they'll do anything they can to disrupt him, and that's the unfortunate truth. And I got to cut out there,
but that's what winning is. And we've talked about this before.
Getting them to cut you off?
We don't know what winning looks like. And in the States, winning, what is winning? It's getting all of your supporters called terrorists. Like that's what
we need to rejig what winning means. If they all come in here saying Diagolon, blah, 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 then it's not going to, they're using, that's what they want so that they can justify action, the state action against the people that they define as terrorists. And I don't want to play into that hand. I think that's a losing hand to play. All right. Where can they find you? I got to go get my kids, man. I'm sorry. Where can they find you? I know we disagree. We'll talk about it next time.
So much. We'll get there, Mark. We'll get there. So yeah, find me on the YouTube, Greg Wycliffe. I released a new short skit the other day. So go to my YouTube channel, Greg Wycliffe, Instagram, Greg Wycliffe. I'm on TikTok and Twitter at GDUB. Thanks for having me, Mark.
Always, buddy. It's always nice talking to you, even when we disagree. And you can find me at CanadaPoly.com and CanadaReport.co and all the other stuff I do. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Speaking moistly.
We'll catch you next time.